So feel free.
Yay!
Exciting stuff.
That's awesome. And we are on Zoom here, but we know we have others on Facebook Live. Hello, everybody. Tell us where you're calling in from, where you're tuning in from. We have some folks here, Zimbabwe as well. So Zimbabwe and Slovenia are starting to compete here for folks. Yes. Seattle, Washington, and New Jersey, you're, one out, I think, in Hawaii.
Alan, where are you from?
You're muted.
Alan. And Christopher?
Oh, yes. Hello. Greetings. I'm from New Jersey, but currently in New York in Rochester. Greetings. Good morning.
Nice.
Good morning.
And Alan, now you're not muted. That's great.
Well, we're in New Jersey, Central Jersey.
Alan and
you were the one. You were from New Jersey. All right.
Yes.
Welcome.
We see Sandra Mwale. Let us know where you're calling in from. Goodwell, we see you. Where are you calling in from? This is great. We are expecting a sizable group. We are currently 22 and we'll be starting shortly. Thank you for being here. 30 degrees Fahrenheit in New Jersey, and it's 30 degrees Celsius in Durban. Where do we want to be?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sandra. I'm calling from the UK.
Oh, well, right. UK too. So we're expanding. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Sandra. Welcome.
Megan, hello. We see you.
No, you can't see me because I'm sleeping.
Welcome. Tara, we see you. Hello,
hi,
hello.
Can you guys, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we can. You're on a phone number, so let us know who you are.
I am on a phone number. This is Violeta, and I am in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, fantastic.
Violeta.
And good morning. It's early too. You can't see me.
Oh, good morning. Can you, on the East Coast, you're really brave to join us. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And West, the whole America, actually.
Yes,
well,
yes,
thank you
for us. It's late afternoon.
Thank you.
For us.
Thank you for hosting.
Hi. Hi,
Faith, we see you.
Hi, Moleen.
Welcome. Hi, Rajni. Hi.
Hi, Molly. How are you doing?
We are here. I am well if you are well.
Oh, Ranji, hello.
Hi, Sonia. How are you?
Thank you. Now we have India on board too. Very good.
Well done.
All right.
All right. So what countries are being represented here? We have Zimbabwe.
India.
Great Britain. We have South Africa. We have United States of America. Finland,
Australia.
Slovenia, did we say?
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 times?
Excellent. And for those on Facebook, I hope you are letting us know where you are also dialing in from. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Pinyamaya and Chene, what are you thinking about getting started?
It's time.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. It is such a great honor. I almost feel like I could shed some tears to have so many people who would honor us with your time, for us to share some ideas, some thoughts, some reflections that the three of us have shared for the last couple of months now. And my name is Chenesai. I am so honored to be on this team, so humbled to be sitting with all these countries represented and to be able to share with you how this all came about. How did these 3 women imagine or begin to dare to dream about a world that could be led by Ubuntu, or what it even means to the 3 of us living in different spaces, going through different experiences. So thank you so much. I am because we are. And this is exactly where we'll start. So I met the amazing Honorable Violeta during Harare Startup Week. And during Harare Startup Week, one of the going themes that I was using to run Harare Startup Week with colleagues from Zambia, and I'm hoping they'll join us later, is the whole idea of I am because we are together always. Together we can work together, build a startup ecosystem that will be able to share resources, share systems, share processes for better impact and better outcome. So with everything we did, we would end every little talk with I am because we are together always. And there you go. I met the Honorable V, and we were talking right before her talk, and you know, and we came to this idea that wouldn't it be amazing if we dedicated 2021 to be Year of Ubuntu. And that's how crazy this whole started. And I remember being on this call with her and thinking, there's only one other person I could imagine I would want to walk this journey with. And of course, that's the amazing Dr. Molly, a mentor, a sister, a friend, and someone who's held my hand through the teachings of Ubuntu. And I am here because of her strong mentorship and guidance towards greatness, but greatness that realizes that we are a Hunu heart, and Hunu is Shona to mean it's Ubuntu. We are people that are grounded by our actions, by the love we share, by the kindness and by the way we express, and importantly, by the way we show up. In my sense, Ubuntu as 2021 becomes so crucial because it's so important after going through 2021, 2020, with everything that has gone on with COVID. A lot of hurt has gone on in the world. We need some type of healing, some type of togetherness. But if there's anything that I also picked up during COVID, is the only way we could prevent COVID from spreading was if we worked as a people. So this whole Ubuntu came back again, because if my neighbor didn't care enough about me to wear a mask, there would be no we. If my neighbor didn't care enough for me to say, you know what, I'm fluey, I'm going to stay at home, then there would be no we. So how do we start celebrating? How do we start reimagining? How do we start bringing these philosophies, these teachings that have guided Africa for a very long time and shared them with the world at large? But how do we exchange as the world? Because we all recognize that we are a people. Surely the people that are sitting on this phone, conversation, in this conversation today, are showing that we are a people. We are a people that are driven and hungry to work together, to build each other, to build ecosystems that can sustain. But I can only be the greatness that I am when we become who we are supposed to be. So these three women, Dr. Molly, Violeta, and now we have two other great girls that are helping us on this journey, Pina and Koli. We are just crazy to think that we can show love, be love, and talk about the philosophies and the underpinnings of this intricate concept of Ubuntu. I don't think Ubuntu is an easy thing to understand. For me, I say Ubuntu is a lived practice. It's not a theoretical teaching. It's a really lived practice. How do we begin to practice it more, begin to engage with it more, and begin to do so much with it more in a way that the world can come together and completely realize that I am because we are. So thank you so much for being here with us. We hope that we can walk the rest of this journey with you. We hope that we can bring more people to this journey as we begin to uncover, recover, learn from each other, build each other up, and bring this wholesomeness to this whole concept of Ubuntu.
Aho.
I am because we are. So let's grow together. Today's session, today's togetherness is just about us being together and beginning to uncover some of the greatness that these principles, these teachings can have on our lives, but importantly, can have on many other people's lives that are depending on the leaders that are sitting in this room. Because it is through us that we can build stronger communities. And I hope we can sit here and really be present together and continue on this journey. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand over to Dr. Molly as she walks us through some of the visioning of who Ubuntu is, what Ubuntu is, and then thereafter Pine will come in and give us housekeeping on how the rest of the session is going to go.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Violeta, do you want to just say hi so everyone can see you, our fellow co-hosts there?
Hello, everyone. I will get a chance to say a little bit more later, but
Yes.
let me just say a word that I'm very excited about today's day, simply because it's really amazing to see how when the time is right for the right idea to get through, and when the right people come together, things just evolve. Yeah, and here we are. A couple of weeks, we are here. We are launching Year of Ubuntu. It's I hope it's an encouragement to everyone who has great ideas and thinks, oh, it cannot be done. Just listen, tap into whatever is going on around you. That's how this happened. Chenesai, we've met, as she said, in front of just before one speech that I had in the conference with Molly. We met through Chenesai, and then she was a guest at one of my talks, and then the idea just had this incredible spin, and here we are today. So I hope that this itself is an encouragement to everyone who's here with us, to be bold and to dare to manifest the ideas that you have for the benefit of yourself and the benefit of the society. I'm so happy to be here, and later on I will share a little bit how I came about to Ubuntu and why actually I started talking to Chenesai about it.
Excellent, thank you. And the why is so important, right? This is an invitation for all of us to kind of be thinking about, this big why, on your life, on the purpose of your life. But I like to start by grounding the space and just getting all of us connected. Without each and every one of us here on the Zoom as well as on Facebook Live in this moment, this would not be the same space. So if we can just take a moment and take a really good deep breath in. Breathe out and let it out. Just all of those things you want to let go of, the things that you are done with. Just another deep breath in. Let in all of the good things that you need in this moment. Hold it and then let it go. And allow yourself to breathe with vulnerability and with openness, authenticity. Let that be an invitation to the recognition that we are here and we are connected. And this breath is a good way to connect us that way. So I'm going to share a few slides to give a little bit of context for this work here. I will begin perhaps by actually saying that I've been a scholar or a curious mind on this concept of Ubuntu, and I'm trying really hard for my South African friends. Please help me out with the, the way to pronounce it in the Zulu way. In Zimbabwe, we have, Shona language, we call it Hunu. So I'll interchangeably use those words. But, when I was in college at Drexel University, I started to think about this, and I'm hoping that I have some of my friends from Drexel University on the line. And then I went to grad school, and I continue to think of this at Monmouth University. And I know that I have some of my friends from Monmouth University as well, professors and fellow students. and went through the PhD program at Prescott College, continued to think about this. And then I joined a group called the Generating Transformative Change Program with Pacific Integral, really remarkable program that I invite everyone to check out if you're looking to do some of that self-work perspective. And that's when I was talking about it, I actually had two of my friends and colleagues, Greg and Tara, actually say to me, well, wait a minute, can't we do something about this? Maybe this is going to be our experiment because we feel so connected to this. So it's a long time coming to get us to a launch of, the Year of Ubuntu. And I believe that the timing is perfect and as ordained. And I am so grateful to have everyone who is here on the Zoom call and everyone who is also calling in from around the world on Facebook Live. We will have our housekeeping, comments in a little bit to talk about what we're going to do with breakout sessions and such. But I wanted to give a little bit of a brief about being and becoming. Really the true sense of Ubuntu, where we begin to recognize that we cannot be a community unless we are fully present, right? As the individual, being able to recognize that. There's an African proverb which I believe the great late Maya Angelou also really, put out into the world, that says, birds sing not because they have the answers, but because they have songs. What this means to me is that it is talking deeply about making an intention about connection. Right? Making an intention to find places and ways in which you can connect to others. I grew up in Zimbabwe, really in a rural community called Macheke. Everyone who is calling in from Macheke, hi. Also to my brothers and sisters who grew up with me in this very nourishing, humble but happy childhood. Not, of course, without its own challenges, whether it was because of, the racial underpinnings of, that political time, or because of poverty and other challenges that may come with that. I call it nourishing because it allowed me to actually grow into this remarkable African wisdom that we are here now to share with the world as a viable tool for connection and belonging. I migrated to the US in 1995 for college, and I want to think about the swallow bird. So I hope I got it correct. For any of my birders there, call me out if I didn't get the bird correct. But the swallow actually migrates from the UK to Southern Africa every winter. It's such a small bird, and it travels, over 6,000 miles, across France, across the Sahara Desert, all the way until it lands in Southern Africa. And it talks a lot more about, the courage that it takes to get on a journey to migrate, the determination to continue going that journey, but truly a deep sense of faith that allows us to feel safe wherever we are. This is not always the story, particularly for people of color around the world. We know that at least within these generations that I've been alive, there have been many challenges with that. But the story of migration is a story of Ubuntu for me, being able to go elsewhere and, be adopted, right? I have the Keenans on the line. I have the Plofkas on the line, my adopted family members that took me on as a young scholar and, going all the way into my profession. And it became that story of you can always find other birds to sing with. Innovation has been a big part of my Ubuntu because I am interested in making a change to the world that I was born into. I work as a clinical engineer in the medical devices space, and every single day I'm pretty amazed at what it is that we can do using technology, but also coming together and recognizing that the world's medical challenges are things that we can actually solve. devoted to sustainable development through the Macheke project. I'm grateful for all of the folks that support that remarkable organization that is really trying to do something a little bit different from what the larger civil society organizations are doing. And it's a lot more to do with bringing the Hunu heart into every bit of the work that we do. When I talk about the Hunu heart, my Hunu, my Ubuntu, that's really talking a lot about those wonderful things that we say, you know, my friendliness and my joy and how kind I am. But some of the things that we ought to recognize as well, at least in my journey, has been about authenticity, being truly forthcoming about who I am and who I'm becoming. That vulnerability, things are not always going to be quite as joyful all the time. With Ubuntu, you can show up truly for that vulnerability and recognize that it does not make you weak. Forgiveness, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So what is this year of Ubuntu that we are coming up with? I wanted us to create a community, but now it seems that it's becoming a movement. And when we think about this, you know, when Violeta and Chene and I, you know, have been spearheading these conversations, a lot of this has been making sure that we don't leave anybody behind. We recognize we're coming from all walks of life. We all have different experiences. Others grew up with a communitarian spirit. Others grew up in communities where it's quite individualistic. Where is it that we can find a good balance where all of this can actually be truly uplifted through the concept, the philosophy, and the embodiment of Hunu? So when I talk about Ubuntu for us in this moment, I want to take a moment to just say that you are here. That's an important thing. You are here. You matter. You are enough. Right there where you are, with what you know, with what you have, with who you are. But most importantly, you are not alone. It's been, you know, this pandemic, global pandemic, and we've not been able to hug each other. May I invite everybody, please, to just hug me. Let's all hug each other in whatever way that you can. These are good ways that allow us to be able to feel connected. You know, even though it's a virtual hug, I already feel something, right? So in Africa, you know, we carry our babies on the back, and I think other cultures always wonder, like, what's this all about? You know, it's a lot about connection into the heart, right? If there are any clinicians on the call, maybe you can, you know, put in the chat there and, you know, give us more information about when a doctor is checking out your heartbeat, perhaps they are, you know, kind of focusing on that back part of your back, right? Where it is where we are putting our children, our babies, to recognize that they are connected. They are not leaving us, you know, we are not separate from them. And that connection starts from very early on in such a way that it is so embodied that someone recognizes, I am not alone. If I am about to fall, someone will catch me. This can be a part of the, you know, a part of the spiritual practice, perhaps. So we talked about Ubuntu being an African philosophy. So for others, this may be an easy way to begin to engage with it. You know, you think about it more scholarly as such. We will continue to engage throughout, you know, 2021 and invite for an embodied practice where we really start experimenting with this and say, what is it that I have done intentionally to express my Ubuntu? We talk about the individual moral attributes. You know, for my sustainability folks on the call, you want to, you know, be excited to know that Ubuntu is very much thinking about the natural environment, you know, and climate change, how we care about the self, how we care about others, how we care about, you know, the nature that is around us. An acknowledgement of others' humanity. That is pretty simple, but sometimes can get very murky when we are having a difficult time with understanding diversity. Trust leadership, right? Ubuntu is talking about how do we continue to cultivate trust. I want to add to this by talking about the sense of belonging, right? One of the things perhaps that invited you here is this invitation to being able to inquire further about how much you feel connected to others. So in corporate America, for example, we know that there's, you know, data and research already being done there that's talking about diversity and inclusion alone are not going to be enough, right? Diversity is just my data. I'm a Black woman, I'm an immigrant, I speak with an accent, right? Those are the things that I come with. Inclusion is starting to talk about fairness. How do we edge in, right, a fairness so that we include Molee, we include Chene, we include, somebody else, right? But when we talk about belonging, this is now going into the space of Ubuntu, right? When we have these people onto our teams, in our families, right? When we have people that are a little bit different from us, in order for us to go beyond the quota of just saying, yes, they are here and we've included them, what intentionally are we doing to ensure that they feel a deep sense of belonging to the family unit, right? To the neighborhood, to the society, to our company teams. You can contribute to communitarian spirit. I hear this all the time, that sometimes people feel like, but I wasn't born in this, right? But we all have it in us. We just have to continue to work together as we're doing now to tap into it. I'll talk a little bit about relearning and unlearning in a little bit. In who you are defining Ubuntu. In who you are defining Hunu. So yes, right there where you are today, if we focus on those things that are showing that courage, right? That are showing that sense of, deep connection, you are defining Ubuntu. In the chat here, can we also add, if you have a word that is similar to, this concept, this philosophy in your own native language, what might you use to describe Ubuntu? If you are, English speaking and you feel like there isn't a word, let's coin a word, right? Can you just add some stuff in the chat there? I'll look it up in a moment and then we can share some more. I wanted to end my brief session here with talking a little bit about this book. I'm going to put the chat session up as well so we can see what everyone is talking about. But the book, Everyday Ubuntu, is really a good place to begin for those that are starting to be curious about this concept. For those that already know about the concept, it's a good way for us to perhaps start figuring out where we need to unlearn some things, right? Because when we've gone through certain traumas, sometimes we are projecting and sometimes we are showing up more from a place of fear instead of from our places of courage. But also maybe a relearning, right? If you're in cultures that are so individualistic, it hasn't always been that way. That's my sense, right? So what is it that we can do to unlearn? So Mungi Ngomane is a remarkable woman who has come up with, this book that it's really truly a scholarly work, but also a work of the heart. She's a granddaughter of the great, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And I am extremely honored to know her and to know that we can continue to work with her and perhaps she can join us on our future sessions, because what she brings here is, we constantly say, I am because you are, but she's challenging this and saying, I am only because you are. I am only because you are. Are we able to see ourselves in other people, right? Are we able to hold multiple perspectives at the same time? We learned this in GTC for my friends from the Generating Transformative Change program. Cultivating dignity, whether it is just for yourself, whether it is for others, whether it is for the natural environment. What is it that we're doing intentionally to cultivate dignity in our lives? This concept of choosing hope over optimism. She really taught me something with this one, because I am someone who uses the word hope quite a lot, right? So in the corporate sector, I am not supposed to say, I hope this will happen. I should be saying, I will make this happen, right? So I've been really kind of dancing with this. But one of the things that happens is when we are constantly so optimistic, sometimes it may miss out on the things that we need to really have a deep faith, a deep hope, and a deep trust with, right? So when we cannot be encouraged, or when we are so struggling with something else, is there an opportunity here for us to be able to continue to hold on to that hope. I think the great Martin Luther King probably said something similar to this as well. Seeking ways to connect. We talked about that, you know, if the little swallow bird can do this, right? Being able to fly, you know, with their fellow birds, singing along, but also recognizing how far of a journey it is. You know, we know already of that, African proverb. As a matter of fact, maybe this is a test for our good friends here. What is that African proverb? And you can type it in the chat that talks about going far or going fast. Let's see who can remember this one. We want to talk about forgiveness, right? Ubuntu is very much rooted in this. It's very difficult for us to think of how I can connect with a family member or a neighbor or a friend, you know, who I'm estranged with, unless there is actually this deep sense of forgiveness. Sometimes it begins by forgiving myself. Right? Forgiving the self and then learning over time to forgive others and really get into that opportunity. Acknowledgement of even the painful reality. Right now we are in a pandemic, right? The reality is that we have to continue to socially distance. The reality is that there's been so much loss in the world. In the US alone, over hundreds of thousands of people have met their demise. So being able to acknowledge that reality continues to help us to tap into that Ubuntu, because it allows us an opportunity to really live into what it means to have a more wholesome human experience. We're going to be more empathetic. We are going to be kinder. We are going to be, seeking ways to connect with others, right? So for me, with having the prayer practice I have, and I continue to grow on that, you know, I know that we have people of different faiths on this group, and, you know, welcome and thank you. Recognizing that sometimes having that deep faith, right, is what can help me to be able to sit in the pain, to be able to acknowledge that, you know, if it's not happening to me, it may be happening to somebody else. But at what point do we feel connected? You know, being in prayer together, being able to reach out to one another. And then, of course, finding the humor in our humanity, right? I love this concept so much because I am constantly trying to figure out how can I make every space I enter into a happy space. You know, I'm not necessarily always the funniest person. You know, my friends may not necessarily laugh at all my jokes, but I actually believe that there is something to be said about finding that humor, right? Regardless of what we are going through. It is what may connect us sometimes. I just want to look at the chat real quick here and see as I'm closing off, oh my, we have a lot that's been going on. So it looks like everybody got it. Our friend here from Ethiopia, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Isn't that remarkable? There's another proverb here. There's a comment from Stephen, who is saying in Zambia, they say it takes the whole village to raise the child, right? So my parents who are on the call, thank you. You know, you are part of this village, you know, that has raised me. I am seeing another comment here, you know, go fast, go alone, go far, go together. That's Tara there, just cutting it straight to the chase. We see, oh my, Chris, you have a narrative. Whoever is going to be in the group, breakout group with Chris, you have something coming. This is so remarkable. Thank you for sharing all of this. He's bringing Mahatma Gandhi's wisdom into this as well. This is pretty remarkable. Big hug, everybody. What else is going on the chat? Thank you so much. Gratitude is always the beginning part of what it is that we can say is our Ubuntu. Whenever anyone visits and has an opportunity to visit our beloved Southern African countries, we hope that we are continuing to show that we are living by this, regardless of the challenges that we are also working on, right? We are part of that, you know, culture that perhaps may need to be unlearning some things due to some of our own traumas. But if anyone has been to Africa here, please put in the comments there. Of course, if you are from Africa, we already know that you have done so. But let us know, you know, tell us a little bit more about your experience. Did you start to learn more about this concept of Ubuntu from your experiences, stepping onto the African soil and being able to recognize that you are not alone? Can we take the moment to just take another deep breath? I feel like we need to breathe together. Breathe in. Breathe out. And you can shake it off. You can do your African dance. I believe we are getting ready to move into the next session. Pinyamaya, are you going to give us a little bit of guidance as to how this breakout session is going to happen? Really just an introduction to all of us connecting. For those on Facebook Live, unfortunately, you won't be in these breakout sessions, but stay tuned. We'll be right back to join in that conversation. If you are sending any comments there, we'll look at them during this breakout session bit so that we can continue to engage you and keep you also very much a part of this larger conversation, this movement that we have here. An invitation to show up, right? We already said you are here, right? You matter, your voice matters here. So as you are getting into these breakout sessions, please accept my invitation, my deepest and most humble invitation to show up into this dialogue. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Molly, for this. And well, a nice hello from my part as well. Right now, I'll explain a little bit about how the technicalities and logistic will work during today's session. Pretty soon, we will ask you to go into breakout rooms, so you have more space and more time to really communicate with your group. Once I get a green light, you'll get a request to join a breakout room. So just please do accept the invitation. When the time is right, I will also invite you back to this main room, so we can all share everything there that happened during the time we were in breakout rooms. Also, because we don't want any thoughts and good ideas to get lost, I just sent a link into the chat. This link is to a Jamboard. Each of the groups has its own page there. So depending on which breakout room you'll get into, please work on that page on the Jamboard. I hope you can all access it. If someone can, just please let me know in the message and we'll talk it through. But the most important thing is that at least one person from each group can access and write in this Jamboard. So whatever comes during the time you're in breakout rooms, please write it up there. Also, yeah, for the next time we separate, you'll get another link. But now please use this one. You will be able to see, all the pages all the time, but please stick to your page. There will be time to share everything you talked about and to get to know what other break rooms were working on. Please accept the invitation into breakout room when we give the green light. And if there are any more questions, please let me know. I see some have problems already with going into the Jamboard. Maybe if you have a Google account, that could make it easier. However, I think it should work without any problem. But I also think, it should work. So I also changed another thing in the setups. So I hope it works now. Okay, I think that's it from my side. So yeah, please continue.
All right. So Chene, do you want to talk about this first session real quick, the breakout session, and then everyone can go into their rooms. Thanks.
Thanks, Doc. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us still lovely. So the first session essentially is an opportunity to get to know each other. As we are unpacking this I am, it becomes so essential to be present as who you are. So it's a time to actually talk about who you are and what you're about and what is it that you're bringing to this table. I think it's so crucial with what the work that lies ahead of us for 2021, that we begin to imagine at every given opportunity, every given point as to I am here and this is what I can be present for, and this is how I can contribute to the we. So it's going to be a lovely meet and greet, but go beyond that. Really look into the soul of the person that you are and the gift that you are to this world. So see you in a few, and we'll get then into our next breakaway session. Thank you very much. Tina, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, just a second. For everyone who the link didn't work before, please try the second one I just sent. I hope this one will work for all those who couldn't access before.
It's saying access denied.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why. Okay, I'm just gonna put you into breakout rooms and then I'll talk to you in the breakout rooms.
That's fine.
Yeah, it actually,
Oh,
Go ahead.
it prompts request access. So if you request access, I guess you must have something on your end.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Just did twice. So hopefully somebody's checking the mailbox. It sounds like you have to acknowledge in the mailbox. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. The breakout rooms are also created, so now you're free to join. You are muted, Molly.
So I was busy talking to myself. So is this a room or?
No, this is the main set. The main.
Okay. Could you put me in another room? You'd put me in the same room as Violeta. So I'm skipping.
You just have to press join because you are already in the room too. So please just press join.
Okay, were you going to put me in a different room?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you are just wait.
So a room where Chene or Violeta are not in already.
Yeah, I moved you. So
okay.
You can accept.
Let's see if I can join here. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I have written not joined, but
okay. Looks like we have Anna as well who's joined here. I don't know if she's in a room. So should I exit and come back or?
Yeah, maybe you can try that.
Okay. We are learning. Oh, share screen, invite others.
Hello, hello to everyone who joined a little bit late. We are just working in a breakout rooms, so I'm gonna add you to the breakout room, and you can join the conversation if that's all right with you.
It's okay. I'm okay with it. No problem.
Okay, so just when you get the invitation, please accept and enjoy the room.
Thank you very much. I will surely join.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry for coming late. I've been having
No
challenges.
problem. No problem. No problem at all. So everyone else here in the main room, are you with us? Is something not working? Hi.
Hello, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi, I can hear you. So we are just working in breakout
Actually,
rooms. So we're coming back shortly, and then you can join further on, because I don't want to move you now because we're finishing. Everyone will join shortly back here.
okay, thank you. I was actually in break room 5.
Okay.
So I was trying to talk, and then I failed to do that. So I had to turn on my microphone, and when I did that, I exited the group. So is it okay for you to link me with break room breakout room 5 so that I can continue?
Sure. Yeah. Here you go.
Thank
Welcome everybody from the rooms. Welcome for our friends on Facebook Live. Hi, thank you for staying on, or if you're joining again, thank you very much. This is getting very interesting. Yes. Chene, do you want to go, or should I?
Go ahead. I think let's bring it back. Go ahead, sis.
Okay, very good. No problem. So I wanted to kind of just give an opportunity. I hope everyone sort of knew what to do when they went into their rooms. It took me a while to find out where I was and, my bearings. Took me back to that, migration, vulnerability. Which room am I supposed to be in? And once I'm there, am I in the right room? But it felt so powerful showing up and recognizing that, we have folks that, just heard about this on a WhatsApp group somewhere, joined in and decided, I'm so interested about this, right? So the why is starting to show up. And I think what we would like to do is to have an opportunity to hear briefly from each of the rooms, right, Chene? So that we can
yes, absolutely,
have a sense of what was happening in those rooms. I may put others on the spot there, but kind of just think about it in the room that you are in. Who might be your spokesperson, to kind of give us a sense of what was happening there. Why was your room better than our room? Just kidding. But what occurred there that is starting to get us now into the juices of this connection conversation into, have I really being honest about how I feel connected to others, especially if it's others that are different from me, right? Or especially if it's others that are in my neighborhood, right? When was the last time I knocked on the neighbor's door or checked in on others? So let's maybe begin with room number one, who might be able to speak a little bit to, what came through there when everyone was kind of discussing who they are becoming, and that introduction. Who was in room one?
I will jump in. So, so we've, hi everyone, Aleta Muzorewa. We jumped into the why. And so what came out of it, we went into the meat of things. So we did not waste any time about, getting to know the other person. We just dived right in and we started solving the world's problems. So one of the things that came through was really participating in solutions rather than just knowing there's a problem out there. What do you do about it is what came through. And there was an inclusion and global equity conversation. There's so much, there's enough in the globe for everyone. How is it that we cannot spread it so that everyone has a chance at dignity and having what they need? And then there was a service focused. I do this because I want to serve others. I get satisfaction from serving others. And my one is the hierarchy of needs. We need to be able to identify what everybody else needs, where they are, so that if we are at the top of that triangle, we're the ones looking down and bringing everyone else up. So that was our world solving group.
Amazing. You went right into it. And this is what's so powerful about Ubuntu, right? Once we start to recognize that it is a viable tool for actually solving some of the challenges we see in the world, we cannot leave it on the side, or I can't have Ubuntu on one day and then today I wake up saying I'm a little lazy, I don't feel up to it. It's in who we are, and being able to engage that and bring that forward is pretty remarkable. Mpilo, were you in room number one? Okay, no problem. I saw you kind of shaking your head. So Leta, you did a great job there. Let's move on to room number two. Who might we have from room number two?
Who did we have in room number two? Pina?
Molly, maybe people don't even remember their room names, but why don't you just let people come in by themselves without those numbers, because many don't remember, like I don't. Maybe Professor Dr. Raju would just like to go ahead.
Maybe the good test is who was paying attention, right? But it's all good. So very good. Yeah, we can definitely, for sure, take some turns to speak a little bit about what happened there. Who might like to go next? Professor Raju, did you want to say something? You're on mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, we are room number 2. There's no doubt about that. But you know what happens is when there are so many ideas, they are coming. I must admit, Dr. Moleen's discourse has been so overwhelming. I'm still trying to digest, in spite of my being a PhD and all that. But you know, the flow has been so good, and it is still sinking into my mind. But certainly about the value of Ubuntu, but I looked at it from a different angle. In fact, Violet was also very kind to contribute points. And Stephen Muraga, it was amazing that he brought about. In fact, there are a lot of things which we don't know about anybody, even though we may be knowing them for so long, but he just peeled one peel out of his onion, and then we can see, my goodness, he gave us an example. It was his own life experience of Ubuntu. And my own situation is that, yes, there are so many possibilities existing with Ubuntu, but the problem so far before Corona was that the whole world was urbanizing. So that has really pushed us into really a sort of pressurized compartments where we have no time for anybody else other than ourselves. Whereas now with this whole Corona coming in, people are slowly coming away, social distancing, which really means we are going to seek to live in villages, and villages are Ubuntu's sterling example. If there is a marriage happening in one person's house, the whole village is there, you know. Yeah. So these things really came about in our own discussions. So the timing was really good, and we are really, realizing the need for Ubuntu and rediscovery of Ubuntu. And then Violet had definitely given us an insight into why Ubuntu was not practiced in Europe for so long, for whatever reason that was. And a main accusation by Violet, if I may take the liberty of saying that, was people have forgotten, because she gave a wonderful example of Jefferson taking the essence of democracies from Slavic countries and then going and creating the world's largest democracy. Whereas the Europe itself has completely changed its own ways. And that's what, if we had this concept of Ubuntu staying together and then believing in the togetherness, then things would have been different. So that's what we gathered in our tri-party meetings. Okay, thanks.
Remarkable. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Stephen, I want to hear that story at some point. And now we know who was in room 3, so so we can go with that. Who on our group might want to speak a little bit? Tara, maybe.
Sure. And anyone else from room 3, I think, should jump in as well. Yeah, it was a reminder. We actually did tackle the question about who we are, which is a big question. But I think what really came through was that we've each been shaped by our own individual cultures, our own individual experiences within family and community, and by the things that are the longings of our heart. I could hear, through each of what people spoke, that the current day longing is giving rise to who we're becoming. So people moving in the directions of things that they care deeply about, and all of that happening in community with each other, whether we're whether that's virtually as we are now, or whether it's being touched by the community that we're directly involved with. So I'll stop there, and I hope someone else will jump in too from room 3.
Yeah, I mean, we had Lynn, Thelma, Sandra. Anybody wants to add a little bit there? No worries. So if no one knows whether they're in group 4 or not, maybe we can just speak on the next discussion. What was discussed in your room that has not been touched on yet?
So we were in the group 4.
Okay.
I hope that Audrey, Eileen, and others agree that I present what we were talking about. And we were actually sharing some thoughts also in written form, so allow me to share the screen. We addressed 2 different questions, not so much about who we are, because this is, from our perspective, it was like an endless story, but why are we here today at different times of hours? Because we soon discovered that it's 6 a.m. in the morning and 6 p.m. in the evening and something in between also. So it was quite interesting to see sun rising and also dark setting at the same time. And this is also Ubuntu, right? So you can have sun on one place and you can have darkness in the other, and we are all connected. So what we discovered was that we are all here because we have some personal connection to people who started the movement, who want to launch the Year of Ubuntu 2021. So we are personally invested in this story, and we want to invest in the story and in Ubuntu also further. So Eileen also expressed that she wants to learn. She wants to learn what Ubuntu means, what Ubuntu is. So we discussed a bit this historical point of view. Where does it come from? How it actually, how did it express itself, etc. And then we heard a very lovely story from Audrey that she was helping Molly's sister at her college application form, not knowing that it was Molly's sister. And after getting in touch with Molly, she enlightened her that this is also a spirit of Ubuntu, to help others, and not knowingly and not expectingly something in return. And this is what we stressed out, as what we stressed. It is, we must not be indifferent. We have to help. We have to feel the need to help and not expect to get anything in return. So this is from group 4, but feel free, colleagues, to add something additionally. Thank you.
Remarkable. With a PowerPoint presentation and everything. Wow. Okay. So what can group 5 actually share with us? Any room that we haven't heard from? We had up to how many rooms, Pinya? Pinya Maya?
Okay.
8 rooms.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, our room maybe.
Okay.
Our room, I think we tried mostly to know each other and what brings us together in that space. And how we are connected, how we are connected with this Ubuntu. And our group was lucky because we had Tadej Perik, who wrote the book, is the essence of Ubuntu. So he explained a little bit about the essence of Ubuntu. I hope you can come in and explain a little bit what you said about the essence of Ubuntu. And I also explained that I'm working on a book, but mostly focusing on the, how this diversity can be practiced not in a harmful way. And I'm mostly talking about my experience in that book and using Ubuntu as a tool that can be used in institutions to have inclusion and diversity that is not harmful, because mostly in some of the institutions that we are, for example, myself being Black in a white institution, whilst there's desire for inclusion and tolerance and all that, the places have been very harmful to me. So then in the process of thinking about why are these places so harmful to when these people are genuinely wanting to include you and they want to work with you, but all the time they end up saying sorry because things happen. So then I'm working on this Ubuntu as a tool to build inclusive institutions that are not harmful.
Wow, powerful. I mean, this movement of people and this group and this community just continues to, really impress me with the depths with which we are showing up in our own lives and being able to reach out for this. Faith, thank you for sharing generously. And, we spoke a little bit when I did my presentation about, diversity inclusion, but really going that step further and bringing in that sense of belonging. When one does not feel like they belong, we can have, all the accolades in the world about how diverse our company is, but we are still missing the essence of what that person can bring to the table, the value that they can add. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Moleen, may I
yes.
ask Nathalie to save that page that you created in chat, please, because we will be saving the chat. Thanks.
Will do. I already saved the page.
We're ahead of everybody. Well done, Pinyamaya. I love it. What other room have we not heard from?
Group 6. Hi,
Very
everybody.
good.
My name is Patience. I was in group 6 with Mimi, Sonia, Mutsa, and Marion. Our conversation, we didn't really answer the question because it just flew that way. But what we did talk about is a walking example of Ubuntu, because we had Mimi, American, I'm from Zimbabwe, and then we had Sonia and Marion in Europe. So how we tackled it is, it just led to talking about you, Molly, and how you have demonstrated to all of us Ubuntu, which was very interesting because it wasn't even planned to go that way. But before I knew, I was speaking about how you help my niece, how you help this one, how you just don't meet a stranger. And anyone, it can be someone you don't know. If they needed something written up for a college application, you are there. So by the time it was time to get out of our chat, we're like, oops, did we answer the question? The answer is no, but we felt the conversation just led that way. And it was very satisfying. We appreciate you for really being a walking example.
Remarkable. I did not pay them to do what happened in that room. But thank you so much. I think a lot of times in life, we always want to look so further out for where some of the examples of what impresses us or what inspires us, when sometimes it's right there amongst your own family members, right? Or amongst your own dear friends, who is doing something that somehow continues to inspire you in such a way that you're like, she's relentless with this, or he is continuing to do this. What are those things that we can begin to teach one another in such a way that we can truly, I love the way you say this, Patience, the walk of Ubuntu, right? Because we are walking each other home. This is truly a journey. And as we meet one another, there are no strangers, right? I tell the story about, Professor Raju, you might correct me better on this one, but I believe it was someone from India, one of the scholars and spiritual teachers, who talked about, a question that came up is, what can I do for others? And the question now, the answer became, well, really, there are no others, right? Once you begin to see yourself in others, you begin to recognize that we are all connected. You know, so we have a lovely representation from India here. I believe, you know, my dear friend and colleague, Shirisha is probably on the call as well, somewhere here in the US, but representing that culture and community as well. Is there another group that we might want to touch on before we move on to the next part of the program?
I would ask you that. Okay, sorry. Our group we spoke, but I would like Tadej Peric, or I'm pronouncing the name wrongly, who wrote the essence of Ubuntu, maybe to speak a little bit who was in our group.
All right.
Maybe he's not here anymore. I'm not sure, but
okay.
Yes, I was looking for today.
Okay.
Among participants, but he's not here. I believe that he got a bad connection, so I apologize. But I'm speaking up because we are translating his book. That's why. But the author should talk about it anyways. Perhaps he will be able to join a bit later.
Thank you. And thank you, Faith, for that, right? Wanting to give a voice to others so they can be seen. Truly the spirit of Ubuntu. I think, Herbert, you were going to try and say something, and then we can close off and move to the next part of the program.
Oh, okay. I think a lot has been well deliberate, but for me, one of the major highlights was on the issues. I'm a specialist in movement building. So whenever you build a movement, one of the things that makes a movement successful is that concept of Ubuntu, where everyone feels to be part and parcel of that movement, that he or she has ownership of that particular movement. So for me, it was one of the major highlights in the groups when people were talking about identifying problems, bridging gaps, and creating solutions for their communities. So for me, it really translated so much in something that I was doing over the years, but didn't know that I was also contributing to the part and parcel of the Ubuntu concept within our local communities, where you could use something like arts and culture to articulate certain challenges and come up with solutions in a more creative, innovative way. Like people can know, okay, as a community we have this ability, we have this potential, we can do this and do that. So I can give just a brief example that sometimes last year we started something called the reading club, where just people would gather, we just read something, and then it will just impact people's lives in a different, or we could use a storytelling agenda. Like it's a part and parcel of our culture is people in Africa that we tell stories using a bonfire. So we begin to articulate stories, and there we build strong relationships, to build bonds. We build this strong way of doing things, so that you could, even when someone goes somewhere, you begin to take that fire in other communities. That as a community, there is more we can do for each other than what can divide us. So that has been my major highlight, even while you're discussing with other people in the group. Thank you, Molly.
No problem. Thank you, Herbert. And I assume you're calling from Zimbabwe, right? Sounds good. All right. So we can move on. Yeah, awesome. I see the Zimbabwean sun there. I love it. We can move on to the next part of the program. As you can see, there's so much to unpack. But what's lovely about this is just the launch of this movement, of this series. We're going to be doing this throughout 2021, and we can move on now. I think Violeta, you should be coming on next, huh?
Thank you, Molly. I thought we were going to go back to the breakup rooms, but I'm more than happy to jump in. It's a real honor, and I feel, as I said at the beginning, humble but excited at the same time, because we have this, we have us. Molly asked me just to briefly say a bit of the background that brought us actually together, and I will use the screen sharing just to share a model that emerged at the beginning of Corona crisis, but it's been in the back of my mind since 2013. It's really a inner call for a new destination that we could all share and still have sustainable planet and sustainable future for all of us on this planet Earth. And I am very much convinced that within the existing structures, we're not going to be able to do so, because they were created to serve another cause, to serve a different time. So I started to propose to global community the model that emerged one evening. And I got lots of very interesting, positive, exciting responses. And that's how we started then, together with some of my colleagues, to deliver a so-called Ecocivilisation talks. And that's how Molly and I got together when I invited her to one of the talks on Ecocivilisation. And what I'm trying to here bring your attention to is that prior to the emergence of this model, a couple of years ago, my friend who's also present today here, Sonia Klopčić, came up with this really bold concept of the future of leadership, where she picked from different continents the essence of their culture and put it together in the leadership model. And when I was looking at that, and when this eco-civilization concept started to emerge, I said, wow, Sonia, would you allow me to use this model as the concept of all beings, which could then we could follow in order to support the spiral development of beings on this planet Earth, where of course humans are part of it. And you could see in this model, that's how I got introduced to Ubuntu. And of course, being always curious for something new and fresh, I started to Google, and on my surprise, when I Google Ubuntu, I get Linux applications, Linux software, you know, and I said, what? And more I Googled, more of these software apps started to emerge, but nothing about Africa, nothing about this incredible essence of the African soul. So the first opportunity I had when I started working with some of my African colleagues, I started to bring this up. And Chenya already mentioned that, right? So I'm really happy now that this movement has started to evolve, that will first of all fill all other models with this concept of Ubuntu, encourage other parts of the world to bring forward their essence of their civilization, of their wisdom that has been accumulating over the centuries and over in their collective consciousness. And that's how I think the world can get smarter, the world can create a more healthier foundation to build this togetherness, to build the global awareness out of which these real tangible solutions can emerge that can serve the planet, all of us, that we can coexist with it. Otherwise, you know, humans can easily disappear. The planet will not, but we can disappear because we've been so unfair to this planet, to the fellow humans, and to most of the societies that exist in this world. So what is the essence of eco-civilization movement? Is that we are together inviting people from all over the world to join and collectively develop new tools, new understandings that will lead us collectively to this new destination that we call eco-civilization. Sometimes people are afraid that this is too big of a word, but you know, if you take the last 45,000 years since we know that the humans have existed on this planet, you know, we've seen hundreds of different civilizations. So seeing some characteristics of our behavior, the way how our perception is developing, the way how our values are developing, the way how our tools for value creation are developing, we are rightly assuming that we are at the beginning of yet another spillover into something fresh and new, where we will have a chance to say that to set up a new perception of the life we want to live. So what I offer through this eco-civilization is that instead of looking at functions, we look at the 5 essential elements of our life: being, societies, land, consciousness, that could be translated to collective wisdom, And of course, relationships that bring all this together. Imagine that this is the structure of our future governments. Imagine that this is the structure of our future communities. Imagine that this is a structure of our companies and corporations. Once you start imagining this, you could probably see that completely different solutions will evolve, because we will not be any longer protecting stock markets or economical model or education systems, but we will look at the beings, at the land, at the society, and ask ourselves, what needs to be done that we foster the next step of development? So that is the essence. And we are also just starting this movement. I'm so happy that the Year of Ubuntu and Ecocivilisation will be supporting each other and dancing together, walking this Year of Ubuntu. And we are eager to learn and try to bring on board in on other frequencies all this wisdom and experiences. So join us, be active on both levels, helping the world to understand the Ubuntu, but at the same time, dream about the future you want to live and come and join your thoughts with others. And that's how we can make a change in this world. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Violeta. That was pretty remarkable. I guess we are going to be getting ready to go to yet another break room session, which means you'll probably be in a different room from the room you were before. With this session here, we are going to be moving more into the depth of things, right? And asking that question, what does Ubuntu mean to you? What is it? How do you express it? You know, some groups had already started that initially. Are there other questions that we might want to consider here, Chene?
Yes, thanks, Doc. My thinking really is, I think because some people already started talking about the what is Ubuntu, perhaps we could combine the what and the why into Ubuntu, just allow people to uncover those as a two-part question. This way we just give the breakaway rooms a little more time to unpack that. But definitely to think about what is Ubuntu, how much of Ubuntu how much of it do you know? Like theoretically, what are some of the underpinnings? How much do you know? Have you read anything along those lines? How often do you think you practice Ubuntu? Do you actually thought about some of your acts of kindness, acts of love as part of Ubuntu at all, or you never really thought about associating them with Ubuntu? And then also in the why bit of it is why Ubuntu now? And I think it becomes very important to start that reflection of 2020. What has led us to this point in time that we're saying perhaps we need to rethink, revisit, and see how Ubuntu can reflect in the world at large. So a bit of a reflection of 2020 and how Ubuntu can present a solution, a form of healing to the world in 2021. So those are some of the questions. So I'm thinking to combine them. Let me have your thoughts on that. And then we can just kind of make the breakaway room a bit longer so that people can bring them back after it.
Yeah. That totally sounds fine. And, you know, just really an invitation to dig deep. You know, that conversation about healing is a big one. You know, we are talking here in the US about this movement for Black lives. But at the same time, sometimes there is even a disconnect between our fellow African Americans here and Africans on the continent. This is something that will continue to unite us and continue to bring us into a position where we can really show up with our leadership, right? This service leadership, this Uno heart leadership that is so much needed in the world. I love it when I see people shaking their heads because it means something is connecting. We are ready to go to the rooms and go El Paso.
Great. I also just sent all the questions I managed to write. So maybe you can help yourself with that as well. Also, I'm sending again the link for the Jamboard. I hope this time it will go smoother. So for everyone, if someone lost it, here it is again. And also just doing the
Yeah,
rooms
and that
again.
means for and that means for the folks on the Facebook Live, because I'm getting some messages there. It means that you will not be able to participate in this part, but we'll be right back for sure.
Yeah,
but they can essentially just put their thoughts on the as comments on Facebook as people are discussing. So they can do that.
Excellent.
All right, cool.
okay. And now we have been invited to the room, so please accept the invitations.
Could be translated to collective wisdom.
Hello. We are working in a breakout room, so if it's okay with you, I can just add you to the breakout room. Hi, were you already in other rooms? So that I know if I just put you in a random room or you want to be put in a specific room? Hi, please let me know if you are already in one room so that I can add you to that one. And if not, then I can just put you randomly.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Wow. I know.
We could have totally used an hour in our room.
I'm telling you, we could have just kept going for the next 20 minutes. And sorry to everyone who got cut off in the different groups. But we have another opportunity to bring the whole conversation back up here and grow it a bit more. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, very good. So this is pretty amazing. I'm also very interested in our time here. We're getting close almost to 2 hours. Can you imagine that we have been together that long? And the way we were thinking about this is the third hour is really going to lead us more into those that want to continue to, dig deeper in the conversation, join that, third session. As you know, we're going to have a full year of these events. We are looking for more engaged folks, more people to, support, whether it's going to be through the, the panels or, the speaking engagements and such. Perhaps maybe we can do a quick review of what was discussed in the rooms this time around. And if we can encourage other voices that were not heard last time around in our spirit of Ubuntu to encourage, others and uplift others, whether it is their voice or, in their energy, so that we can, continue to further the connection and the conversation. Where might we like to begin? I see others probably will be dropping off here. That's totally fine. For those on the Facebook Live, welcome back. I guess you can hear us now again. Please continue to share, any comments there. We'll address them before the end of the larger session. But, this will sort of wind down this past session before we move on to that, last 30 to 45 minutes or so, and then we can adjourn for the day. Where might, and for those that have to leave, thank you very much. Where might we want to begin? Did anybody keep track this time of what room they were in after being traumatized last time? What room, room number 1? Anybody from there who didn't speak the last time? That's okay, we can go to room number 2 if you remembered your room number. I can keep going to 3. Anybody? Oh, so I'm seeing there. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have decided that on our behalf, Lynn Chankira is going to present.
Awesome. Go ahead, Lynn. I don't know if you're on mute. Oh yeah,
Lynn,
we can't hear you yet.
Lynn Chankira, Lynn? How come she is not there?
That's okay. We can't hear her at the moment, but we'll come back to her as soon as she rejoins. So for those that are just joining us, welcome. For those that are leaving, thank you. We continue on. Was anyone in room 4, group 4 there that might want to speak for what was happening and alive there?
I was in group 3, room 3.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, okay. Megan.
We talked about Ubuntu and we expressed it as a value which has been present in our cultures. And so it basically is the respect for elders and holding the spirit of togetherness and sharing whatever we have with others. And I was indicating that the Macheke project, the Macheke Sustainability Project has really been helpful to me, for me to be able to realize and to know what Ubuntu really is, because I've really been involved in a lot of projects. Right now, I actually assist other people, like their college applications, and I'm actually growing to nurture others and so forth. So it's something which I really appreciate the Macheke project for giving me this opportunity to grow my Ubuntu values. And we also talked about the issue of why Ubuntu is lacking now, why it is falling. Most of our politicians are greedy and they want to amass a lot of wealth and at the expense of actually other people, and to love the next person. Yeah, I think that's what we discussed in our group.
Thank you, Megan. All right, shall we have another one from another room? Room 5, room 4, room 5?
Room 5.
Okay.
So our discussion just started as a very organic conversation of people just introducing ourselves to each other and, you know, where we are in life and what we're doing. And I began to share what I do in my role, which is to support physicians to take on a shift from providing healthcare from a position of fee for service to value-based care. This way to really help patients to reach their goals and improve quality of life. And that's when I got a comment like, oh, that's actually, you know, part of Ubuntu. I was like, you know what? I'd never really thought about it that way. I just thought that that's what I do on a day-to-day. So it was just interesting to really understand and grasp how Ubuntu can take different shapes and forms without necessarily having that name or that brand, and how it's important to spread across different industries and different sectors, such as the healthcare. And in that conversation, we also got some insight from Nyasha, who shared the coronavirus situation in the UK, and the corruption and the politics and the politicians. And one of the things that really stood out was we just found it interesting how European countries or media, you know, as a general, has always taken on a position to point at, you know, African countries and African leadership and, you know, where their failings and where things can be done better. But now this coronavirus has actually shown that there are holes in every part of the world, in all, you know, leaderships, whether it's a first world country or it's a second world country, third world country, it doesn't matter. And it goes back to the concept of we are one. And so when your brother in Africa is having a situation, your country in Africa is having a situation, let other countries show up to support, even if it's a first world country, because we all need each other and we can only do better while we work together. And if I missed anything, please, anybody else who was in the group, feel free to share.
Thank you. All right. We can move on to another room, perhaps room 5, room 6.
This
Somebody?
is Molly. I'll go.
Oh, great. Go ahead, Shirisha.
Yeah, I jotted down some points, so I'll just go for all of us, if it's okay. Room 6.
Please, yes, please. Yeah.
So thank you, first of all, to Molly. This was a last-minute invitation, but I'm glad I took it up and I learned so much. And to me, this was new, but yes, Ubuntu, I am because we are, and very true. What we did discuss during our breakout room, you know, several points. One was connecting to others and the act of being human inside out. You know, practice what you do in a true way. Also, Rajni had 2 very good words, sorry and thank you. These are 2 words that are impressive and massive. And Rajni, I'm going to quote these wherever I go from now, because this is true. We don't realize. And like she said, this can start or stop a battle. Sometimes we hesitate to use these, but maybe we should get into the habit.
Remarkable.
And yes, it was nice meeting everyone in room 6. I hope to continue on. I really have to go. This morning I have another commitment, but I will continue on this journey in 2021. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting all of you.
Thanks, Shirisha.
Moleen, I want to add something, if you allow me. Yeah. I think what Shirisha said, it almost, she gives gist of what we have discussed in that brief discussion. I also want to point out one beautiful point which was brought out by Aletha during the conversation. And I think each one of us realize it at different point of time when somebody asks about our, well-being as a practice, as a way of formality or as a part of culture. How are you? And most of the time people even don't have time to listen to our answers because they want us to come up with that cliche statement, fine, good, great. I may not be fine, but if you have asked me genuinely, you should be genuinely be bothered at least listening to my answer, right? So I think these are small, small things in life which would certainly help us being better human. And if we are better human, then I think only we can propagate humanity. And I think then only concept like Ubuntu, that would come through our heart. It does not become just theory, it becomes practice. It becomes practice. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you, Aletha, for your wisdom there. I believe in the South African language in Zulu, where they say sawubona, right? When people are, seeing each other, it's really more about, I'm not just here to pass you by. I want you to know I see you, right? I see you. It's not a very, kind of like a long distance connection. In the Shona, language, we say, I am well if you are well, right? So my wellness is connected to yours. One of the concepts I've really been reading more into is really going beyond this concept of wellness, right? But actually really seeking to be happy, to really be happy in who we are and how we're experiencing life. Thank you so much for that. Should we move to one more room in the interest of time? Room 6, room 7, room 8,
okay,
or room 7? Okay, great.
Okay,
go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, okay. Right, we looked at the meaning of Ubuntu, right? And then we explained it in the South African way that umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, which means that the person is a person because of other people, right? And then it's the nature of your character among the society, your positive qualities, right? And then we went on to look at how we've learned about it. And then it was like, just creating connections and values for the society and just being kind to one another, empathizing with one another, and just belonging to the society as well and helping each other. And then when we came to the question of how much do we know about this, it looks like it's kind of inbuilt qualities of which people were not really aware to define it as Ubuntu. So it's all about like shared values in the community. And then how much do we practice this? We practice a lot of this because it's like it just happens naturally without even realizing it. But people won't be knowing that that's the actual Ubuntu. They were not, quite sure there. And then where it was saying what was lacking, we looked at like maybe technology and people minding their own business, and then getting on with their own business without even checking on others, how they are like, So because now, people are so busy with their lives doing this and that, but it's, that is what is lacking. So I think that was what we discussed. Unless if Paida, you need to add some more.
No, that's basically all. And I also talked about how I first heard about Ubuntu through practicing Kwanzaa. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but you look at the various principles of what it means to be African, and Ubuntu is one of them, along with others. And that's sort of how I was introduced to the concept of Ubuntu.
Thank you for sharing that, Paida. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier about, at least in the US anyway, this distance between, Africans from the continent and African Americans. And yet we already have this, wealth of knowledge and wisdom that is a part of our lineage that we can lean into. As we continue to talk about Ubuntu really as a viable tool, right, in our corporations, if we have any leaders on the call, really recognizing that if we have to go beyond just the diversity and inclusion and start thinking about that belonging. That sense of belonging is really key here. Room 8, will somebody share?
Sure. So in room 8, we started, and I'm not too sure how it started, but we started talking about our elders. Megan before spoke about that as well. That's something that they touched on. But we spoke about our grandmothers, and that's how we grounded our room. And we spoke about our grandmothers as vessels of wisdom, the ones who crafted the environment that sustained this Ubuntu concept, and went a step further by promoting its nurturing power, not only for our immediate families, but for our communities at large. So that's how we grounded our room, by acknowledging the elders before us, recognizing that who we are, a piece of who they are. So, and that was our initial Ubuntu foundation. And then Goodwill recognize the idea of Ubuntu forcing all of us to focus on others rather than ourselves. So if you are going to be who you are because of others, it forces your perspective to shift away from you, but to start caring about others and seeing them and seeing their needs and seeing what it is that they can do to contribute to the whole. And in so doing, you recognize that your existence is enriched by always leaving a space for further growth. So he said, he is still learning. He has heard about Ubuntu. He continues to read about it. He continues to want to practice it, but he acknowledged the fact that he's never going to reach a point where he can say, I fully understand it. And I celebrated that personally because I recognize that it leaves a space for further growth, which in turn continues to nourish us. And then we also touched on the idea of Ubuntu, which is something that was brought by Marian, that in Europe, the old structures, the old systems, which seem antiquated, are starting to crumble, right? And they're crumbling because of the fact that they can no longer sustain communities that they were meant, that they were created for. So Ubuntu can fill those spaces and begin to shift everyone's thinking and focus to a more enriching concept that is more community-based.
Thank you. That's a great summary right there. I guess I can also add that Marian did, play an instrument for us, so we did a bit of music and song. We've been talking about this concept of storytelling is a true part of leadership, right? But when we start thinking about Ubuntu leadership, who knew what leadership, being able to tell the stories in such a way that they honor others, they make others feel like they belong, and they really open us up to this vulnerability that makes us recognize that, I'm not really much without others. I stand on the mighty shoulders of those that came before me. Without the support of those that are in my group right now, my allies, my friends, my co-workers, I am actually not necessarily self-made per se, but the deep grace as well, right? That continues to honor us in a very spiritual sense, that allows us to put one foot in front of the other, and as Patience was saying earlier, being able to recognize that this is a walk, right? The Ubuntu walk. And as we are getting into this movement, it's really very exciting to have, so many voices from around the world, and particularly putting on the forefront this, African voice to retell that story in a way that's compelling, in a way that is inviting, but in a way that also really starts making this very close to what it is that we need to connect to. Go ahead, Violeta.
Hey, I was just saying, yes, we need to Ubuntu from Africa, not that we teach Africa Ubuntu, you know? That's very good. And I'd like to re-stress something that's been talked in all groups that I was present, and when I listened to all of you, is that if we push this movement into a public stream strong enough, we will awaken the awareness of similar roots on other continents and in other communities. And that's how, when we bring them all together, this will actually be really powerful network of diversity. And then we can see how in a different communities, this is exercised in a different way, but with the same spirit. Like even in Zimbabwe, you call it differently than in Zambia or in South Africa, but it's the spirit, the energy, the intention is what really matters, yeah? And through bringing Ubuntu into the mainstream, we can really awaken many good things in other people, in other communities.
Thank you. That's remarkable. And as always, with all of these opportunities to come together in dialogue and conversation and storytelling, we also want to encourage the experiential practice, right? Being able to then live this call, this Zoom, this Facebook Live, and start living into that Ubuntu, right? So that when we meet the next time, we're hoping for more stories of kindness and courage and generosity, people being able to really recognize, yes, I'm not alone. Right? While we're in a pandemic, yes, there is a lockdown, but I can always pick up the phone. I can always connect with my neighbor. There is always this deeper sense of we belong somewhere. Where do we belong? With one another. I would like to invite everyone to unmute their calls, just so that we can do one quick together practice that will allow us to be able to really say this again, which is, I am because you are. And if everyone can unmute, just to say it as a group, just to, put it out into the universe that the energy of Ubuntu is alive. So on the count of 3, everyone will be saying, I am because you are. 1, 2, 3, let's go. I am
because you are.
Oh, Jesus, we can never sing a song together. We can try one more time. Let's try one more time. 1, 2, 3, go. I am because you are. Thank you.
Better.
Moleen, everybody is telling you, we are because you are. Today, you brought us together, and thank you so much, Violeta ma'am, for organizing this and for making us part of this wonderful launch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's amazing. Chene, do you want to help out with a bit of the closing as we move towards the end of the session?
Yes, sure. It's been a lot. Thank you everyone for sharing such deep thoughts. My thinking with this launch was really to start, I think Christopher kind of brought it in our session, where he said, I've been living this way. I do this work in Guatemala. This is the teachings that I teach my students, but I've never really been intentional about the Ubuntu, and this is the way I live. And we imagined at that point, if we were all a bit more intentional about these principles and how we teach our neighbor and the next person. So for me, I think it has been so essential just hearing, listening to everyone, being guided by such strong wisdom and experiences. But importantly, to start thinking, how can we be more present, and how can we as the leaders in these spaces start showing up so that we can show up for others in the true Ubuntu spirit. And as we move to the final session, which I think we had said that the main session was the first 2 hours, and if anyone wants to live out, it'll be important to know for those that are still on the call, how can we communicate with you? Are you comfortable with us emailing you thereafter? And how do you propose? I think this is a session where we can start speaking out loud what we can imagine that this year of Ubuntu can be, because everyone sitting on this call is a leader in their right and is practicing it by virtue of being here with us on this launch. You are Ubuntu, we are, otherwise it would just have been the three of us. So we are, and I think it would be essential if we can do a round table, I don't know, what do you call them, the round Zoom, with some pertinent ideas of what you feel this year of Ubuntu can be. And then we'll guide you through what we have been thinking and planning. And I'll definitely see you in the next session, right? So maybe around Zoom to understand what everyone thinks this year can be.
All right. So are we doing one more breakout?
No, I was imagining it can be just, yeah, all of us here. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Molly, you can take it over. I think you're good at pushing everyone to say something.
So in honoring our young voices, right? So we have a couple of people here who are actually still in college, and that's a pretty powerful thing for us to be able to learn from those that we have raised. So I'll just call you out here, Mpilo, my nephew, and see if you'd like to share something. What might you envision in 2021 when we are putting together a year of Ubuntu? You're on mute.
I think it's a very lofty idea, but for me, just thinking about it initially. But one thing that comes to mind immediately is the importance of information sharing and the importance of making others aware of the issues of other communities. I think one of the things that we lack, particularly in the Western Hemisphere, is an understanding and a realization of some of the issues that are happening around the globe. We tend to be very self-focused in our media and in our attention and in our livelihoods. And so perhaps one project that this group can embark on is just making information as to the issues of other countries more aware and more apparent for people living in this side of the globe. I think perhaps I'm a bit hopeful, perhaps I'm a bit naive in saying this, but I do think that there are a lot of people within Western communities that are very much interested in engaging with these issues. And I think the challenge for them is just a lack of media infrastructure that's invested in addressing these issues in an appropriate fashion. And so if we can be part of that new media that we see in so many other areas of our lives, be it in social media or other areas, I think we can do a lot to push the Ubuntu spirit together as we are able to communicate and able to work together because we're aware of the issues.
Excellent. Thank you. You know, I love that term new media, right? Only someone who is still in college and bringing us new ways of thinking. So we'll be tapping into you as our resource, you know, our young Ubuntu heart, and seeing what that can actually be. Anybody else that might want to share here? What are we thinking when it, or feeling, rather? Sometimes we have to go beyond just the thinking, right? And the feeling into what Ubuntu might look like for a year.
Can I popcorn in here? Because Mpilo, you triggered something in my psyche that wasn't quite present, you know, throughout this this conversation. This is why it's important to bring in that young voice, right? Because we have some very not antiquated, but we are set in a lot of our ways of doing things. And so it's important to hear from the young people in terms of the solutions that we can potentially bring. So that being said, bringing information to individuals, yes, it's going to be very key. However, I think we must always remember to share the solutions, because while there are enough problems across the globe, let's share the solutions that are already in place so that the others can use for best practices so we can begin to really tackle some of those, some problems are quite basic and there are solutions that have already been, like the wheel, right, invention. Let's share so that people are not starting from ground zero to bring in some of the solutions. So thank you, Mpilo, for triggering that thought process.
Just like that.
Yeah.
This is great. Any other voices that we have not heard so far? All right, Sonia, I see you raising your hand. Go, dear.
Thank you. I would build on what Mpilo and Aleta said. Yes, it is important for the Year of Ubuntu to really spread the message of this timeless wisdom, to spread this and to show how it can be used in a daily practice with examples, with role models, and with stories. What can be reached if we behave in a Ubuntu spirit, and to spread the information about this rich meaning of Ubuntu, so that people will not just understand, but also feel how Ubuntu way of thinking and acting can support them, their communities, and the development for all of us.
Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, and that brings me back to what Violeta was talking about. When you Google the term Ubuntu, you are led in a slightly different direction. And if anyone in our larger community of this movement here knows anyone who works at Google or any connections that we can start to leverage conversations about how can we get this very I guess I can call it an intellectual property of the African wisdom in a place where it is accessible, but also viably placed, right, on the space, on the social media there. So that's something that we can definitely work on. And, as you have any ideas, I'll share my email address here, but also we will have an Ubuntu email address. I believe it's, I'll type it out. I believe it's year.ubuntu@gmail.com for any additional ideas that everyone may have. I'll make sure to share it before we leave. As we continue this conversation and us trying to, wind down, wanting to make sure that we don't lose the voices that are brewing here and taking action here, so that you come along with us through the, the various forums. Some of you may be panelists, some of you may be speakers, some of you may be part of the planning team and, the organization, and the ensuring that we are not, leaving anyone behind in this very movement that's trying to unify us. So make sure you get connected, look at, everyone who is here. We are probably all on social media in some form or other, perhaps on LinkedIn. How do we continue to keep the conversation going? On our Facebook page, Year of Ubuntu. That's a really great way to connect with us and ask any questions, but also offer up, right? Raise your hand like Sonia was doing and say, I'm here and I want to participate and I want to support. For those in college, this may be an opportunity, right? Our Ubuntu ambassadors in the learning spheres. What is it that we can do at, let's say, Yale University, for example, during the course of 2021, in such a way that we can continue to leverage this conversation and really make this a viable, tool that is usable, but also something that is well regarded, right? There is so much intellect and wisdom behind this, and it's our job now to bring it forward and ensure that we are letting this voice truly be viable and sustainable. Can we take one or two more thoughts, feelings? We have Simbai, you've been quiet. We have an Anna Dube, you've been quiet. Eileen, may I call out a few more names here? Thank you for staying on. I know it's been a long, get together. Very good.
I would like
to ask a question.
Go ahead, Marian.
Is there any song from Africa that is like the Ubuntu song? Or is there some? I'm looking for. I think okay. I will research this. Thank you.
We actually have a religious one that I can think of. Tiri wawadzani, tiri wondo imwe.
Can you write that in the chat?
Yes, I can actually make a copy of it and send it to you and do the translation.
Oh, wow. This is such a present. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. Can you sing a little bit, Aletha?
Yes. Tiri wawadzani, tiri wawadzani, tiri ondo imwe, tiri ondo imwe, dai tichidana, dai tichidana. So that song is what women in Zimbabwe in the Methodist Church would sing at the end of every service.
And it's talking about if we love one another.
We are the same, we're on the same front lines. We are fighting the same war. It is our war. If only we would just love one another.
Oh, amen.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. All right. It's feeling like we are getting to that end zone, right? Thank you for those that are in time zones that is, they have really stayed up late. Thank you for those that woke up in the middle of the night just to participate. Thank you for being here and for recognizing you are enough, you are needed, you matter, and that you are not alone. Thank you for the opportunity, right, that has been bestowed upon us to be able to do this great work. Thank you for walking with each other. Thank you for walking with us. And let's walk away with this deep sense of gratitude and perhaps an excitement, some inner joy that's being stirred in us, curiosity perhaps. Whatever it is that this has invited today. May we go back into our works, right? Monday's coming up. We're going to go back to our professional lives. And continue to remember that we cannot leave Ubuntu at home, right? In who we are as leaders, in who we are with one another. For those that can't travel long distances because you've had the privilege of jumping on a plane and doing so, knock on the neighbor's door, right? What are the small things that we might be able to do for one another, with one another, and really to continue to connect? Thank you very much, everybody. In Shona, we say tatenda.
Selfie, Doc. We need a selfie.
Oh,
thank
sure.
you, Stephen, for being so thoughtful.
So how do we do the selfie?
Our young ones, Collie, Pina.
Pilo, somebody. Okay, can you do it? Everybody turn on your video or your...
Yeah, your camera's on and I can make a screenshot.
Or your picture.
Yeah. I want to get a big laptop that can put as many boxes as possible on one screen.
Right there as you are good. Yep, your hair is just fine. You are good. Can we invite a few more, right? Megan, Herbert, Faith, Simbai, Eileen, Sandra. All right, we can try and do it now.
All right, myself, I'm using phone. I can't take. I'm just posing for the selfie.
Okay, great. I took the screenshot, so we have the wait. I think we have more. So wait, let me do one more.
We have a few more.
Okay, great. I think we are.
All right.
Woohoo! We did it.
Well done.
Moleen, allow me to say again.
Where is this conversation going to carry on? Is there a platform where we should be checking in here and there? I think this is a fire that should not be quenched.
Well, the
Yes.
video will be published on Ecocivilisation page until Ubuntu page comes up. And all social media will be still active. As Genesai said already in Moleen, it's that Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
So I'm just putting it on here. Facebook, Year of Ubuntu.
But
Oh,
I
you
would like
did.
to acknowledge that
Facebook,
everybody knows that
Ecocivilisation has got a Facebook, right?
Yes, and you can also look for Year of Ubuntu on Facebook. I just put that in the chat. Thank you for asking. Sorry, go ahead, Violeta.
I just like to at the end again say that this will never, us three will never be able to launch this with it calling Pinamaya. I mean, these two girls were an incredible technical support at the back. So I'd like everyone to acknowledge that, because it was really, really well done and a big time pressure. And again, just like to express my deep gratitude that we actually did it, and that feels so good. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I am grateful for your time and for showing up the way you did. Thank you.
And Happy New Year, everybody. God bless.
Yeah.
And
God bless.
be safe. Be safe.
Keep
Love you.
Bye.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Bye.
It's wonderful. Bye.
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 You should do an African goodbye that doesn't stop.
Bye. 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 Bye,
Bye,
Herbert.
Herbert.
God bless. Bye, Taddy. You're on mute, so I'm not sure if you're there.
Bye.
Bye-bye, dear.
Bye-bye, Taddy.
Bye.
Bye.
One of our young scholars in Zimbabwe.